So we're going to do temperature conversion again. I'm going to call this version 2 because this time we're going to make it a little bit more robust and we're going to read the temperature from the user. Because this is an actual full-blown program, we're going to map out the plan, we're going to circle back around and add some detail, and then we'll write in the source code. As always, a great place to start is to declare some variables. That's a really great place to start. Then this time, instead of manually setting the temperature, we are going to prompt for the temperature. We'll prompt the user for that, ask them a question, kind of like what is your name from the last video, and then we're going to convert it. We're going to convert the input to a float because I need the temperature to be a number so I can do mathy sort of things with it. And I know that when I prompt them using input that it will come in as a string. So I'm going to convert the input to a float so we can do math with it. And then we are going to do the conversion. We're going to convert the temp to Celsius. And then finally we are going to display the results. Okay. So that was step 1. Step 2, we're going to add a little bit more detail. So maybe the first detail is what do I actually want it to say? If I am going to display the results, we can use the same one that we were doing before. 25 degrees Fahrenheit is 19 degrees Celsius. I'm going to do a Google search for my temperature conversion. And if I come back here, we're doing the same temperature conversion. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to steal this Google search for my temperature conversion. This time, I am going to get it right. So let me put my handy dandy Google search here. We're going to convert it to a float. We're going to prompt for the temperature. We're going to declare some variables. What variables am I probably going to need? Again, 3 places. Number 1, things I'm prompting the user for. Number 2, calculations that I'm doing. And number 3, things that I am displaying to the user. When I look at my display to the user on 22, it looks like I need a degrees and a degrees Fahrenheit and a degree Celsius. When I look at my conversions on line 18, I need a Fahrenheit and a Celsius. And I'm going to be prompting them for the Fahrenheit temperature, which means that I see that I'm probably going to need a Fahrenheit temperature and I'm probably going to need a Celsius temperature. So the last step, step number 3, let's write some source code. I'm going to initialize both my Fahrenheit and my Celsius variables to floating points. Python is willing to change them on the fly, but at least I'm going to start them off as Fahrenheits. Then I'm going to prompt for the Fahrenheit temperature. We learned how to do that with the input function. And inside of these parentheses in a string field, I'm going to say something like, enter the Fahrenheit temperature to convert. So I'm going to prompt them for the question. They're going to give a response. They're going to press enter. And the equal sign or the assignment operator is going to set that into the variable called Fahrenheit. But it's coming in as a string, and I can't do math with it as a string. So I'm going to typecast it to a float. So I'm going to say Fahrenheit equals float. And what I'm going to put inside of these parentheses is that variable that I am trying to typecast. I'm going to overwrite the value that was in there, which just happened to be a string. I'm going to cast it to be a float, and then we're going to do the conversion. So we're going to say cell equals Fahrenheit value. I remember that it's minus 32 because it was a problem with my code last time. And we're going to multiply that by 5/9. 5 divided by 9. And then we're going to display the results. So since I took all the time to type out my print statement, we're going to use the print with the string format. I call it a printf. Technically, it's a string format. And so I'm going to put a F outside of the double quotes. And I'm going to take my print statement. This is what I want it to stay. And I'm going to paste it right there between those double quotes. And then I have to start replacing some variables. I'm sure that the 21 is supposed to be a variable, so I'll replace that with the curly braces. That should be Fahrenheit. This 19 actually should be Celsius. I need to make sure that I'm using curly braces. Change that to Cel, but we also want to force decimal places. So I'm going to come back here and we'll use the colon. I'm going to make them both 1 decimal place, and Fahrenheit is a floating point value, so I need to put an F. I'll do the same thing with Celsius. The colon, I'm going to force this to 1 decimal place, and Celsius is also a floating point variable. So now I'm going to run it. And this is going to be more robust because now I would expect it to ask me the Fahrenheit temperature. Again, I'm going to run some test cases with some known values. I happen to know that 212 should be 100 degrees Celsius. Let's see if my math is good. There it is. 200 degrees is 100 degrees Celsius. If I run it again, I'm pretty sure 32 is the freezing point of water. Should be 0 degrees Celsius. And the last one that I know by heart is a -40. They're equivalent. Now that I have tested it with known values, now I can put in other things. And I can be reasonably assured that it is giving me the right value. And now, when I put this in the App Store, I can sell it to my friends and family, the ones that love me, of course, for 35 cents a piece because it's robust enough to convert any Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius. I will add one more additional thing about this program and specifically about this IDE, because when we were talking about an IDE in earlier videos, I said one of the things that it can do is bug fixes and error checking. And so I look at my assistant up here on the top right-hand side of the page, and it's giving me a warning. And the warning it is saying is on line 15 that they're incompatible types, that the expression has a string, the variable has a type float. And the reason why this is happening is because on line 10, I set my Fahrenheit value to a floating point. And so by the time I get to line 15, Fahrenheit thinks that it's a floating point, but I am then setting it to a string by this input. Now, it didn't stop my program from running, and it didn't rudely terminate my program with an error message. It is just giving me a warning that this could possibly, or that this is a problem because we have incompatible types. So the one thing that we can do is maybe I could change Fahrenheit to be a null string. I'm not so happy about that. We're going to find out a better way to do that in the future. But if I run it this time and I try to convert it to something, let's see if my assistant is going to say it looks good. And so my assistant up on the top right-hand side is no longer saying that there is a warning because the Fahrenheit variable changed data types from one use to the next. We'll find a better way to deal with that in the not too distant future.